Hey everybody. So there was some interest in my microscope video yesterday. You see that little circle, those little circles there? That is coccidia. And I was told, or it probably is. There's another one. I put a picture up. Shoot. This steady hand thing on my camera is really frustrating. I'll get it and then it'll move. But it's a little circle with two little circles in it. And I was told when you do these, it's going to look exactly like the pictures online. So this was for Naaman this morning. Let's see if we can keep the camera up. Do some more. Yeah, so he pooped this morning. She pooped. So I got a little fecal, and I thought, well, we'll see what's going on. There's lots of breeders out there that have coccidia issues. So this is, my dining table's huge, so I've dedicated half of it to this. This is what I have. I have a syringe like this. I have the float bottle. I have, let's see. Oh, sorry, it's not all over here. One of these little cups. This is going to be for Rose. And there's a technique with this. And I was afraid to say much about it until I had some success at seeing something. But this isn't going to replace a vet visit. Not at all. But if I hadn't done this, you know, I might have waited to do the fecal for Naaman, because honestly, Naaman seems very healthy and is eating and everything. But coccidia can happen, and it gets worse and worse over time, because as they poop in their enclosure, and then if you don't clean that up with chlorhexidine, and they walk around and they track it around, it's hard to get rid of. But catching it early is the key. And of course, I sent pictures of that to a friend of mine that runs a reptile rescue, and said, you know, that's a low amount, but it's definitely there. I guess a high amount is, you know, the slide would be full, but you put the poo in the bottom there, and there's this is fun with one hand. There's kind of a little fill line at the bottom. You go up to there, set it down. This goes back and forth, so you swish it kind of slow by holding this. That's hard to do with one hand, but this kind of sits on top and it'll spin. 30 seconds you spin back and forth, and just get the poo to dissolve in this liquid. Now, pouring the liquid in here, I use this. I do not touch a drop to the liquid there. I drop from above. I let it drop down in there. I don't want to contaminate this. So 30 seconds up to the fill line. Then you drop her in more until you get to the top surface, until there is a meniscus above the top. Not a lot above, but a little bit above. Then you take the little square slides, you put one on top, you just let it float, wear a glove, trust me, and then you have one of your other regular slides. Take it out, have it ready, set all this right here, time it for 20 minutes, bacteria floats to the top, bacteria, parasites, all that float to the top and stick to the little bitty square. 20 minutes is up. With your glove, set it on the slide. Now you got to learn you have to know how to use a microscope. My microscope has a light on the bottom, and I'm sure there's lots of microscopes that can work, but seeing that and being told it's going to look exactly like what's in the pictures. Let's see if I can get another one. Man, it's not easy. Did the light go off? No. Why is there nothing showing up? see, anyway, I didn't turn it off. Oh, the light is dim. Oh, I bumped the light. Great. And then it's hard. So now I do have a chemistry degree. That's worth a lot, but chemistry degree helps me with dealing with the liquids and being able to read the meniscus and, you know, measure liquids in tiny amounts and things like that. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful background to have. It's really helpful. It's also nice to, you know, just have that background and understand critical thinking and the scientific method. It does help, but I don't have a biology background, so I had to figure out the microscope and understand what in the world I was looking at. Are these cells? Does this mean anything? Does it not? I spent several hours yesterday on that. And let's go look at Naaman. Okay, we can look at something cute in the meantime. So coccidia is going on, and I'm glad I checked, because it's easy to say, hey, they don't seem sick. Let's not mess with it. And if you can see, I sprayed some chlorhexidine in there. I'm just letting it sit for a while. But I did spend several hours on the websites looking at different parasites and comparing what I was seeing. And in Murray, last summer they said his fecal was clear, so that's wonderful. I'm not going to say I'm doing a fecal. I'm not a vet. I'm just looking in there and seeing what's going on. And you know, it's kind of one of those things where, I mean, it could be helpful for a vet. I know a friend of mine that does another rescue that, you know, he can do that and get good pictures from the microscope and send to the vet, and the vet will say, okay, good, here's your medication, you know, but they have an ongoing relationship, and they know that he's doing a large-scale rescue and that he has a lot of experience. He also has a biology background and a lot more experience at that stuff than me. So I'm doing what I can, and tomorrow I'm gonna email the vet the pictures that I'm able to take and say, I believe this is coccidia. Can we do an official fecal and do what we can for Naaman? Do you need me to bring him in? You know, and if I don't have to take him in and we can just do a fecal, then, and I'll probably weigh him as well. I've got a really good scale. I'm gonna show that really quick. So these are my two scales. I don't feel like this one is as accurate as that. This one, let's see, one-handed, hang on. This is my cooking scale, because you can put something on here, hit the tear button, and then add a little bit of salt at a time until you get the exact amount. And I'll probably find something to set on this, hit the tear button so it goes to 0, then set Naaman on that so I get an exact reading. This one, you kind of have to put everything on exactly at one time. You can't add a little at a time. So if you've got this kind of scale, I'm going to put a link in the description for this type of scale. It's smaller, but you know, you can put a plate or a bowl or just something on here that can sit flush on this the little platform. But you know, the top of it's a little bit bigger to hold smaller things, you know, food or tiny animals. So I'm glad I did that check. You know, it's kind of like, why do a fecal at home? You could just go take poo and, you know, but I was interested. I wanted to see how it would go. But it's really hard to do breeding for reptiles and not have some kind of a parasite issue. I don't know who this was that was trying to breed dragons, but obviously if you look at Naaman, this isn't a normal classic bearded dragon. This is a morph. They're working for colors, they're working for leatherback. That's kind of obvious. Or maybe they just had two fancy schmancy dragons, and they let their dragons get together and it's like, hey, let's hatch some eggs and see what happens. Well, birth defects happen because they're morphs, and I worked on chicken breeding for a while, and I'll tell you, it's really complicated. And when you do that, if you're aiming for like a heritage breed or something like that, or aiming for just something other than longevity, you're going to have a lot of birth defects, and you're going to have to do a lot of culling, which is not fun. Culling means you you kill those that don't suit the bloodline that you're aiming for, because you don't want those animals getting out and breeding with other animals, and if they have problems, you know, you're wanting to aim for a specific bloodline. But with reptiles, they're not really doing that. They're aiming for colors, they're aiming for leatherback, or God forbid silkbacks. Don't buy those. They have so many problems. It's just unreal. It is absolutely unreal. So I'm not surprised to see this. My friend with Rescue was not surprised, you know, when I sent the pictures, like, is this really what I'm seeing? Because he was adamant. He's like, it's gonna look just like the picture. You're not gonna have a question. So I saw coccidia. I'm gonna let the vet know and send some pictures and ask them to look and see if they don't see anything else, because there's plenty of things that I'm not going to be able to see that are more clear in color. You know, there's other things that are pretty contagious that are really hard to see if you're not experienced. So it was a fun experiment, and I want to just say that, you know, I'm kind of hesitant to like say, hey, let's everybody do our own fecals, because what's the point if you're gonna take it to the vet anyway, right? But there's a lot of things that can cause dragons to have diarrhea or constipation other than parasites, and if you can just feel a little bit better that, okay, there's nothing really obvious, maybe they need probiotics, maybe they need a temperature change, you know, it can help a lot. And I love this stuff. I love trying and looking for myself and seeing, okay, the vet's not just pulling one over on me, right? Because I trust my vet. A lot of people probably don't. They've had negative experiences, and I understand that. So anyway, just depends on what you want to spend your time on and your money. These days it doesn't go very far. Speaking of which, more donations came in. Thank you so much. It helps a lot. I already paid the vet for this fecal. You pay, you get the little tube, the little canister that they give you, and that covers the fecal, you know, them checking it out and all of that. So that's that expense you kind of pay up front. So they know when you take that little bottle back, or the little jar back, that you've already paid for it. So highly recommend do fecals kind of early. I could not remember if the vet had done one or not, because the other vet that she got the dragon from works at the elephant, the elephant sanctuary, so I'm not sure if they do fecals this way or not. Elephants are very different, so she might not have had the means to do that. So that's where we are. Sorry for the long video, but some folks were asking, so I wanted to show the things I was using. So include some rubber gloves or plastic gloves or vinyl gloves on that list, and, you know, fun times. Definitely fun times with this. So thank you all for watching. Until next time.